So did you ever have a party because somebody did you wrong? Sounds crazy, right? Well, when you follow Jesus, sometimes crazy is actually normal. Jesus said, "Mistreated? Rejoice." Good morning, and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you will hear all about easy-to-remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said. The point? To help you experience life to the fullest, the Jesus way. Today's Jesus said comes from two different Gospels. Matthew 5, we'll read verses 10 through 12, and Luke 6, 22 through 23. Starting in Matthew 5, Jesus said, "God blesses those who are persecuted for doing right, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs." God blesses you when people mock you and persecute you and lie about you and say all sorts of evil things against you because you are my followers. Be happy about it. Be very glad, for a great reward awaits you in heaven. And remember, the ancient prophets were persecuted in the same way. Our second reference for mistreated rejoice comes from Luke 6, 22 through 23. What blessings await you when people hate you and exclude you and mock you and curse you as evil because you follow the Son of Man? I don't know about you, but just unpacking that a little bit, that doesn't sound much like a blessing. But Jesus goes on and says, verse 23, when that happens, be happy. Yes, leap for joy. For what a great reward awaits you in heaven. And remember, their ancestors treated the ancient prophets the same way. Now, these two passages, they aren't just a suggestion. This is a life principle that Jesus commanded for us to follow. And the first disciples understood that this was the way to real life. These ordinary guys and ladies who some of them had been part of a political rebellion against the Roman government. Some of them were loudmouths and were always fighting against those who were against them. But we see in the book of Acts, we see how they used this principle of when they were mistreated, they rejoiced. In Acts 5, 40 through 42, the others accepted his advice. They called in the apostles and had them flogged. The apostles were beaten, and then they ordered them never again to speak in the name of Jesus, and they let them go. Now, before we read the next verses, let's think about how would we respond today if we were arrested, beaten, and told to never proclaim the name of Jesus. Verse 41, the apostles left the high council rejoicing that God had counted them worthy to suffer disgrace for the name of Jesus. And every day in the temple and from house to house, they continued to teach and preach this message: Jesus is the Messiah. This is an incredible transformation that we see in the disciples. And one of those who had persecuted them had them arrested and killed. We read later about Stephen and Paul was there. One of the persecutors who had been like a vigilante against Jesus clearly changed, and we know him now as the Apostle Paul. And he wrote to the church in Corinth in 2 Corinthians 12:10, "That's why I take pleasure in my weaknesses and in the insults, hardships, persecutions, and troubles that I suffer for Christ. For when I am weak, then I am strong." That's what strength looks like. Rejoicing when we're mistreated, because a great reward awaits us in heaven. Many times in our society, we have it upside down. Would Paul be popular today? Would Simon Peter be disqualified for his past tweets? I mentioned Stephen, who was stoned for preaching the good news. Would he be criticized for not exercising his Second Amendment rights while they were stoning him? Literally praying for forgiveness for those who were killing him at the time. Acts 7:60, he says, "Lord, do not hold this sin against them." Does that sound like us? Does that sound like success today? How do we gauge success? Do we rejoice over the wrong things? Jesus said, what sorrow awaits you who are rich in Luke 6:24. For you have your only happiness now. What sorrow awaits you who are fat and prosperous now? For a time of awful hunger awaits you. What sorrow awaits you who laugh now? For your laughing will turn to mourning and sorrow. What sorrow awaits you who are praised by the crowds? For their ancestors also praised false prophets. The secret to real happiness is rejoicing, even when things are tough. Jesus said, mistreated for doing right, for doing good, for following me? Rejoice. Have a party about it, because your reward is great in heaven. That's the secret to real happiness. Jesus said, mistreated. Rejoice. How can you put that into action today? Thank you so much for listening. If this is meaningful to you, it really would mean a lot to me if you like it, if you share it and you comment. I really appreciate you. I hope that you have an amazing day, and I hope this time together has helped you live life to the fullest the Jesus way. And remember, follow Jesus today. Love first.